All right, we are back for our final installment on the Boss Women Summit. With me is Cait Scudder. She is not only my business coach, but she is here to talk all things business. Hello, Cait.
Hey, Heather. Thanks so much for having me.
I am so glad that you hopped on here. I'm so excited to share you with the world and just kind of like let more people know who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
For sure. So as Heather mentioned, I am a business coach and success catalyst for female entrepreneurs. So I help women really dial into their zone of genius and use it to build a profitable, purpose-driven business. So I help women who are, at all stage of business, whether they're still in that 9 to 5 ideating dream state, or they're already at multi six figures looking to scale it up. And I really jam out with all my clients and all my tribe and audience on 3 core areas of business that are so, so important in order to scale sustainably and successfully. And that's your energy, strategy, and sales. And so that's sort of the overarching umbrella that encompasses all the work that I do.
I love it so much. So let's dive right in and talk about, because we're all in a quarantine position of some kind, of some varying degree. Yep. So a lot of us, myself included, our businesses have to pivot, right? Because as a photographer, I cannot perform in-person work. So what can people be doing to pivot their business?
Yes, so important. So I actually, before we started recording, we were talking about all these free resources. I didn't mention this to you, Heather, but one of the things that happened to me this morning on my walk is I just fully channeled this like long freebie that I'm in the process of creating. Won't be ready tomorrow when this airs, but I want to talk about some of those things that I'm going to include in this resource, because that is, the answer to this question of what do we do right now as business owners. So Heather, you're a perfect example. As a photographer, you're not getting all up in people's faces and floofing their hair and touching their face, as you're on shoots, right? We're all quarantined, we're at home, or we're, avoiding and practicing social distancing as much as possible. So how do we pivot? The first thing that I think that we really need to look at as business owners is how our capacity has changed. And so what I mean by this in terms of capacity, like you think about in a business that is, let's say, a product-based business, and it's a traditional like manufacturing operation or something. What's the capacity of that factory to produce X amount of things? Now, as a service-based online business owner, you're not a factory, you're a human being, but your capacity right now, right, has changed, whether that is based on your personal situation. Let's say that you are a mamapreneur who is now also full-time homeschooling mom, full-time, like keep the house sane. And oh, by the way, still trying to serve your existing clients and maybe, just maybe, grow new business, right? So your capacity all of a sudden in this quarantine has gone from like here, probably down to here in doing your business. And so the first thing that I think is so important for all business owners to keep in mind is that a real pivot is not just like, woo, how can I like all of a sudden now put out the same amount and meet the same goal? Like we need to look at how has our capacity shifted and how can I adjust my expectations based on the realistic new reality of what my capacity actually is, right? So for example, for you, Heather, it's not a realistic expectation of I'm going to go out and sign, 3 new clients to shoot this month, because you're not shooting this month. Your capacity is not that. Your capacity has been limited by an external factor. And so I think the first process and the first step, like action step for every entrepreneur to look at is how has my capacity shifted? And that's going to look different for everybody, right? The second thing that we have to look at is how, if at all, do I need to modify whatever my goal was, right? So let's say that is a financial target. Let's say that is a certain number of people for a launch. Let's say that is a certain number of a certain growth number, like whether that's your email list or social following or whatever your goals that you were looking for. As your capacity has shifted, does that goal also need to shift? And so capacity is one of these core areas. And the second piece to pivoting that I want to talk about, guys, is shifting your course of action. So as we look at, okay, capacity has shifted, goal has either stayed the same or has been modified slightly because this capacity has shifted. What is my course of action? Likely for all of us, our course of action is going to be modified at least slightly, right? So for example, like I'm right now in my office where I do all my videos, all my coaching calls. It hasn't really changed. Like my day-to-day actual business world hasn't changed. Day-to-day life has changed a lot, but day-to-day business world hasn't changed a lot. But has my course of action changed? Absolutely. Here are some of the things that I'm doing differently and that I recommend that all business owners really think about in order to make the way that they're pursuing and the way that all of us are going about hitting whatever goals that we have with that modified, taken into account, okay, this is what I need to do differently. So much more of my audience is online, like throughout the day. All my audience is always online, but everybody's online.
Yeah.
Everybody's bored. Everybody's binge watching. Like, by the way, like, I don't even know what Tiger King is, but all of a sudden it's all anybody's talking about.
Everywhere.
So my point is like, people are bored as fuck. They're watching, I hope I can swear on this show.
Yep, totally.
People are bored. People are struggling, and people are on their devices now more than ever. Now, this is actually for you as a business owner, an advantage for you. And when I say an advantage, I don't mean like, let's be opportunistic assholes and take advantage of that. I mean, this is just like data, right? This is just data. What we have available to us right now is being connected through our devices, which is such a blessing and such a gift. How do you as a business owner use that to your advantage to and alter your course of action? I have been way more, so visibility and video is something that has been part of my strategy in growing my business, maintaining my business, serving my audience forever. I've amped that way up. So whether that is more video daily stories, live streaming. I did a live stream last week in my group every single day. I'm upping video visibility because more and more people are watching and tuning in right now. And so, for example, like some of our strategies for some of the programs that we're promoting, some of the launches that we're preparing, had some in-person networking attached to those. The course of action for that, where we can't do that, where the capacity to do that has shifted, the course of action has adjusted. So where we're not showing up to network and mingle and network and pitch, right? We're shifting that to how can I show up and serve in this capacity that is available. And so I think when it comes to making a powerful pivot right now in your business, it's really, really important that you are not expecting that, first of all, that the goal that you have has to wildly, radically change. For some people, especially if you have a spouse in the healthcare industry, if you're at home, with a couple kids and just don't have the time, you've gone from having 30 hours a week to work on your business to literally 5. Don't expect yourself to have 30 hours a week of capacity, right? But if you have more or less the same business reality, life has changed, but business is the same. The real place to pivot is to look at the course of action that you're taking and look at what are the tools, marketing tools, connection tools, sales tools that you have available to you to move your business forward.
Oh, totally. I think that's so smart, which leads us right into my next question for you is like, because we're all at home or home a lot more with children and spouses and all these things going on, how are we going to be productive? What would you recommend for, especially the moms that have, they're trying to homeschool their kids, run a business, still take care of a house, be a wife, all these things, like time management is like so important.
It's huge. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say, I have a little bun in the oven, but I don't have kids, so I am not going to speak to what you moms should be doing because I'm not a mom. I don't know what it's like. I've been speaking with my mama friends. I think it's crazy. And frankly, I think that the reality for you guys is different from people without kids. And I just think that that's real and that's true. So I'm going to share some productivity and work from home tips. If you are a mother, if you're a working mom and you're listening to this, take what really resonates from you here, modify it to fit your reality. And that goes for everybody, but I really want to specify that and preface what I'm about to say to recognize that depending on your situation, some of these things are going to really work for you. Some of them you're going to be like, yeah, sister, can't do that.
That's out.
And so modify it to work for you. Right. But these are the things that have been working really, really well for me. And this goes again with modifying those expectations, understanding that capacity has shifted. I think that one of the things that's so powerful about this time is recognizing what is inside of your control and what's not inside of your control. And we as humans love to have control over things. We love to freaking, I mean, I love to have control over things. Just going to go ahead and say that. And sometimes when we don't, there's a range of like emotion that comes up with this. So the first thing, the like 0.0 I want to make around this conversation of staying productive while working from home is you don't have to be a robot during this time. Productivity is not about just like banging shit out and making this like your best month ever. Like you can definitely utilize the time that you have at home to move creative projects forward, to still make sales, to serve your audience in more creative and innovative ways than perhaps you've ever done before. And you may also find that you have really hard days this month and that it's some days you don't want to be productive.
And it's okay. Like the fact that it's okay that that happens.
Exactly. And so like 0.0 of being productive is giving yourself permission to recognize that some days are going to be awesome and some days are going to be harder than others. And I think that like having this whole conversation about being a productive business owner during this time needs to be couched in that, so that we're not going at this again from this expectation of being superheroes when yes, we're superheroes and yes, we're human. And I think that it's just so incredible and important to remember that, because when we give ourselves that permission and that acknowledgement, we're actually going to get so much more done and feel so much better in the process, which is not the whole point anyway.
Yeah, so you got to give yourself some grace, because these are not normal circumstances. This is not how we were meant to be living our lives.
Totally.
So give yourself the grace to do what you can, and just know that every day is going to be different no matter what.
Totally. And I had an experience that like I at the beginning of the weekend, I was like, oh, I like know some projects that I really want to dive into this weekend. Had some like fun stuff planned like outside with Toby. But on Sunday, it was like sunny. It was a beautiful day yesterday. And I woke up super sad. I was just really, really sad. And it was the first time that I felt like really sad in this process. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to push myself to do work I don't have to do. I'm just going to let this be real. And today woke up in a great mood. I've like gotten so much done today. And I'm sure that part of that has just been allowing myself to go through everything that I'm feeling and not making anything wrong. So that's again, like kind of 0.0. But as far as some like tips for maximizing your time and making sure that you are moving the needle forward, I think that a lot of the same things that were true before quarantine life and COVID-19 and this alternative universe that we're in now are true. You know, the things that were true before are true now. The beginning of the week, I think it's so important to make a priorities list. And again, this is why doing this foundational pivot work of understanding what has changed in business, how is capacity, how is course of action changed, when we really can analyze those two things and make clear new priorities, then we can organize our week, we can organize our day, we can organize our hours so much more efficiently, because we're not like scatterbrained, reacting, trying to cover all of the things. So I really recommend that you look at what is your top priority for this week. Like, what is your top priority? Enlist 1 to 3 maximum, right? We're not talking about grow my email list, start a LinkedIn, send all the newsletters, live stream every day, sign 4 new clients, and plan for my 2021 retreat. No. If you are that kind of person, I want you to take that list. I want you to cross most of those things off. I want you to circle 1, maybe 2 that get your focus this week. And this is how I recommend structuring your weeks always, guys, is like have what your priority is on the top. Then we can look at day by day. Okay, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, look at what appointments you have. Look at, these are sort of like, we think about all of the time in your day is like a river, right? These appointments are kind of like these boulders. They're there. We know they're there. But all of this other time, we have the capacity to fill in and creatively work around. So knowing what your priority is, knowing that you have these commitments, whether those are client calls, podcast interviews, whatever else you have, personal things, doctor appointment, or, you know, whatever that is, that you know you have on certain days, then we can look at, with that extra time, what are we actually moving towards? What are we working towards? Because what I think makes us unproductive is not defining what our priority is and feeling like in the empty space, we either get stuck and like sucked into scrolling and consuming content. We get sucked into this spiral of feeling like I have to do all the things and we're really unfocused. And then we feel bad about ourselves and beat up on ourselves, which doesn't help productivity or anything whatsoever. Right? So the first thing is really look at, what are you working towards? What are you moving towards? Why is that important? And how does that tie into like the overarching objectives? Again, you have to really define how your course of action has changed if you're going to do that properly. Then look at, where's the time in your day? And something that I really like to do is set a start time for your work day. So for me, that start time looks like anywhere between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. is when I sit down at my desk. I'm really lucky that I have a separate room from the rest of my house. It's like a separate building as my office. I come in here. I'm not just like sitting on the couch and doing some stuff. For some people that might really work. Personally, for me, I need to be at my desk. I need to feel like grounded and centered. And it's not like everything around me is perfect. You should see my desk right now. It's a disaster.
I feel the same. I'm so glad that I have like a whole room. Like I converted a bedroom into an office, and that's when I come in here to work. I'm not coming up here to read a book or to hang out on the couch.
That's it. Or to just like have a FaceTime with a friend. And so guys, like if you're like, oh, well, wouldn't it be nice to have my own office? Set up a freaking card table if you have to.
In a corner, something. Yeah.
Something that's like, that's your space that you go to work, and put a time on it. Just like if you had a job job, you wouldn't just be like, yeah, today I'm going to show up at 12, like in my PJs. No, you wouldn't do that. Like you're expected to be there at a certain time. And this isn't about like pressuring yourself in a negative way, but it's about setting an internal habit of showing yourself that you can meet a commitment to yourself. And what happens with that is that every time you do that, you reinforce that belief. Some of the other things that are really helpful for me personally to stay productive is I schedule in. So when I make my list of, and I look at, our project management system, and if you have a team, I highly recommend having that. It's going to help you all stay so much more organized, whether that's Asana or ClickUp. I look at what's going on in my team. I look at what our strategic objectives and priorities are for the week. I look at all the things that are on my plate for the week. So blockers that my team has, client and mastermind, and all of the work that I'm actually fulfilling, and then any new additional projects. I look at what's on my plate, and then I actually go into Google Calendar and I plug in which tasks I'm going to work on when. And so,
yeah, that way you're literally setting aside some time to work on the stuff that you want to work on this week.
Exactly. And just like, Google Cal gives you an alert or a reminder of, hey, you have a call with Heather in 10 minutes. I get a reminder of, hey, record that solo episode in 10 minutes. Hey, record, blah, blah, blah. And what that does is it helps me just stay on track and have that self-accountability. And it's a way to really organize my time. And yes, there are times when I don't do one of the tasks in a certain hour because I'm either working on something else or I get tied up in something. And then I just look at, where can I move that hour chunk into another part in the day? And so that's just a really like brain organized sort of a way to get that clear in your schedule, because when it's in the calendar, it's so much more likely to happen. And then the last thing that I'll say is that I really like a good playlist when I'm working on stuff that is not like video, not calls, not recording. I just found one this morning. It's just random on Spotify, Electric Focus. I was just like jamming out to that this morning, channeled just so much writing. And so find something that really works for you, whatever that is.
Yeah, I always, when I'm editing and working on like writing things out, basically it becomes background noise for me, but I really like having music because I can help get like in this flow, and I just go, right? Because then I'm just singing, and maybe sometimes I get up and dance a little bit, but then I'm like, okay, and then I just get this idea, and then I like keep going on whatever else I'm working on. So I think it's really, really good so that you don't feel like you have to be so serious all the time too, because sometimes it's good to have fun in your business. And that's one way I incorporate it.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Totally, 100%. And I mean, that's another thing. I didn't even say that, but one thing that I do every single morning, I used to run every morning, kind of getting back into that now, that I'm, more further along in my pregnancy, but I'm going for a walk every single morning. I'm moving my body before I force it to sit down. I'm doing some kind of movement every single morning. And that is so helpful for not only like physically not feeling agitated, but mentally feeling like, whew, all right, I've given my physical vessel what it needs. Now I can mentally focus on what's in front of me.
Yeah, we've been doing the same thing every day. As long as it's not like pouring down rain, we take the dog out and we go for a walk. And the dog gets tired and he gets his exercise. We're moving our bodies. We're getting that fresh air. And it just feels good. On the days that we don't do it, like when it was thunderstorming, by the end of the day, I was like, I could tell we didn't take a walk today. I just feel
totally
sluggish.
And so if that's the case, then like, get a great dance playlist and dance in the living room and just like do you. Do what feels good. Do something to move your body.
Love it. Awesome. So let's talk about selling right now during COVID. I've seen a lot of opinions on both sides of the fence, and just, there's a lot of personal opinion in that, but I'd love to know, your 2 cents on that and why.
Absolutely. Yeah. So in a nutshell, I think that this, as business owners, it is as thought leaders, as people who are truly connected to the purpose of why we started this business, it is our responsibility to be selling right now. Now I shared some content around this. I think that if you are feeling like you don't have capacity, again, it comes back to capacity. If you don't have capacity to be doing that right now, then just know that your capacity is going to impact your capacity. Your capacity to show up for business is going to impact your capacity to show up and sell. And that's okay. And it's going to look like that. If you've been impacted in some sort of a way that's really limiting your ability to show up in business, that's going to translate to sales, and that's okay. If you're like kind of freaking out and not sure how to pivot and not sure if you should sell, kind of feeling weird, kind of feeling guilty, my invitation to you is to look at how you not showing up to serve your audience, how you feeling like, oh, well, my sister just got laid off and her husband is like really struggling right now and they just lost their restaurant, and what about my friends, and you feeling this collective guilt. And this is something that I see happening a lot in the online business space, is like, in so many ways, you guys, we are the lucky ones. We are the blessed ones. We are the ones who have been doing the work from home thing. We've been doing the using social and online tools to market digitally and to grow our businesses. In so many ways, we have the most income security right now over anybody else. And one thing that I think is a real sabotage pattern that comes in is this story of, it's somehow unfair for me to be thriving right now. It's somehow not right. It's somehow opportunistic and wrong for me to take advantage of the fact that other people are suffering. And that's one perspective. Here's my invitation for you to look at that differently. Is it not your responsibility to show up for those people, for all people who are struggling perhaps now more than ever in whatever field or expertise you actually have to offer? So I have a lot of clients who work in the wellness industry, whether they're health coaches or yoga instructors, or just so many different applications in the health and wellness industry. One thing that I think is so powerful right now is that there are more people trapped at home, triggered around food, struggling with healthy choices, struggling with all sorts of like behavior issues with how to eat and what to eat and how to not be really negative with their bodies, how to move enough, how to move when it's raining or snowing or cold or whatever, and how to just cope with this. Does you holding back and saying it's not right for me to serve right now actually help anybody? Of course not. The thing that we need right now is you showing up, serving your audience. And I believe that selling right now wants to start with generous free content that's serving your audience, like things like this that you're doing right now, Heather, that are just so incredible, like hours of video content for people to dive into, to gain so much value from, right? Whatever it is that we're selling, we want to, as always, right? Again, this hasn't changed in business. We want to give first before we're like, hey, pay me money, but that's just basic sales strategy, right? So
yeah.
But the mindset, the internal permission around sales right now is the thing that I think most entrepreneurs really need to work on. And, I have had clients in the last 2 weeks that have had their biggest months ever, their biggest weeks ever, their highest paying clients ever. And so the narrative in the story of no one's buying right now, everyone's broke, everyone's in scarcity around money simply isn't true. A lot of people are actually saving money because their trips are canceled. They're not eating out all the time. Like all these things that we are used to spending money on. Now it's like, okay, we can spend money at the grocery store and we can order crap on Amazon. That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. There's like nothing else to spend money on right now other than yourself, your health, your business, your relationship, your like the things that you bring to the table. And so give yourself that permission to sell, give yourself that permission to show up powerfully, and know that by doing so, you are actually creating a pathway for somebody else to experience the result that they are looking for right now, to get out of the struggle that they are in. If you are in health and wellness and you put together a yoga like membership, sell that shit. If you are a business coach and you are helping people like pivot through this time, sell this shit. If you are a photographer and you have, a service for people who are at home, like, well, I should probably do something about these photos that are like just sitting there and they're not doing anything, like sell that shit. You know what I mean? And so it doesn't matter what industry that you're in. It doesn't matter what niche that you're in. What matters the most is that you are using this time to actually look at how can I help people right now in the area that they most need, and bringing something to the table that offers them a solution, and that, oh, by the way, also keeps your business growing.
Yeah. And I think that's important too, is that remember that your business is because you want to help other people, right? With whatever it is that you do. So that's all you're continuing to do, because a lot of that people still need more than ever, right? Especially if somebody is changing and decides, you know what, I've been wanting to start an online business, and they need a business coach, or they want to do something else and take yoga classes because they can't get to the gym of their yoga studio. That stuff's available. So you showing up is still supporting them and giving them what they're looking for. I see so many posts every day of people looking for stuff, and they're like, do you know anybody that does this, or somebody that's offering classes because I have this? And it's like people are looking for all of these things. So if you are staying visible and you are still putting out your content and just letting people know that, hey, I'm still here, I can help you, that is so helpful, so that they know that they can come to you, right? If they're ready, or like refer a friend to you, or however that works.
Yep. So true. Absolutely. And again, that's it. I mean, people are looking for these resources. So why not show up and be of service?
Yeah. Let it be you. Let you help this person, and then they'll be, eternally grateful for what it is that you're giving them.
Totally.
So let's talk about your free resource that you have for us today. Like a Boss live stream, I believe.
Live stream like a boss. Yes.
Okay, so
live stream like a boss. So Live Stream Like a Boss, guys, is an ebook, super digestible. I am sharing with you on there. And the reason that I wanted to share this free resource out of all of the resources that I have with you guys is because video is so available to you right now. As I mentioned, more people are spending way more time on social than ever before. And if you have valuable content to deliver, yes, deliver it in written form, but also get your face on the video and talk to your people. This is the time to be building relationship. This is the time to be building rapport. This is the time to get that visibility up, that familiarity with you up, that getting used to you and your style and who you are up, so that we can ultimately nurture that relationship from audience member to lead to sale, right? Yes. And, not everybody who's in your audience is going to become a sale right now, but the way that we nurture them through the process of really being a part of your community is through that consistency. And video is such a powerful way to do that. So Live Stream Like a Boss gives you my top tips for leveraging live stream, whether you're going on live on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, but my top tips for leveraging live video, that it builds your engagement, that builds awareness around your brand, that builds up your expertise, and that ultimately leads in as a sales tool. And so it's free. You can download it, save it, refer back to it. I have so many people who say this resource helps them so much and has helped them get over their fear of live streaming. So I hope that this is helpful and relevant to you guys right now.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait to read it. She hasn't sent it to me yet, so I'm going to read it as soon as I get it so I can see see what else I can do to be more, better showing up online as like a boss. So, Cait, thank you so much for popping on here today with me to record this and talk to us about businesses and just the things that we can be doing and kind of pivot and adjust our mindset a little bit as we're running our businesses. If you guys have any questions for her, please drop it in the comments. We will keep an eye on it and she will come back and answer questions, and we'll just help you if you have any questions or concerns about anything. Thank you so much, Cait. I super appreciate it.
You're so welcome, Heather. It was a blast, and I hope it served you for whoever's watching.
I hope it does too. So many people need a little bit of extra support, and this is my way of helping them, boost them, and put some resources in front of them so that they might need right now.
Beautiful. Love it.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome.